What is going on, No Horsing Around family? As you see it right over there, actually, veteran wide receiver, is that going to be something that we would look into moving forward down the line? It's a question. It's a hot topic. It's been brought up since the game. It's something that we've kind of been talking about as training camp has went along. We've had several guests, several conversations. We've had people on both sides of the fence. So just thought it would be nice to get on here and get a good, healthy conversation started. Do we bring in a veteran wide receiver? Do we roll with what we got? I'm not really hitting the panic button, but what I will say is I've always been kind of on the side of bringing in a veteran. I think you're awful young there, first of all. You need somebody there early on in the season that you can count on that can get open. They really struggle with to get separation. You know, when you're running these vanilla preseason sets, you're really reliant on your wide receivers just using their God-given abilities and their technical abilities to get open and create a little bit of space. And everyone minus Michael Pittman Jr. did struggle in that game to really create a lot of space, especially early on. You know, you guys got to consider that our ones really went against their twos and didn't really look very well. You know, and then a lot of that had to do with our offensive line didn't block particularly well either. If I'm being 100% honest, you can't put the blame solely on the wide receiver group, but names that have been brought up, let's just kind of go through them. Cole Beasley would be one. A guy is a really just a prototypical slot receiver. I don't think he's a guy that the Indianapolis Colts organization will bring in. I think he's got some political views, and I don't think that aligns necessarily with Jim Irsay and how they kind of operate. Not saying he's a bad guy, not saying this shows even a political thing, but I think that might keep him from being a guy that they would go out. Another name that's been really, really tossed around, and I actually kind of like this name a little bit, is Emmanuel Sanders, veteran guy. He's kind of a hybrid. He can go deep. He can run those short intermediate routes. Still played pretty decent football in the NFL. Might be just someone to consider. I'd be interested to know your thoughts on Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders as well, and still got a little bit of juice in his game, and definitely looking to find a home for a team who is in win now mode like the Indianapolis Colts are. Obviously, there's the household name, right? There's the household name of T.Y. Hilton. I think probably of this group, these three people here, I probably would lean towards T.Y. Hilton only because he knows the scheme. There's nothing to teach. There's nothing to learn. You just come right in, you play football. I think he still has something in him. T.Y. has really been limited over the last couple of years for two reasons. One, because of injuries, and that has nothing to do with anybody else. Secondly, he's just not had the right quarterback, to get him the football. I think when Phillip Rivers finally at the end of the season decided, you know what, we're just going to trust T.Y. a little bit more. You saw him kind of explode at the end of that season. He had like 4 or 5 touchdowns in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and really started helping that football team. I would probably lean more towards T.Y., not just because he's a Colt, but because he's also – he might be the best of that group, if I'm being honest. He might be the most ready. He gives you kind of a double-edged sword as well. He can beat you with a deep ball. He can beat you with those short under. He's really, really good with running those drag routes across the whole. You set him up on the left-hand side, he'll run all the way across the field just to create some space because of his speed and create an opening, get a nice little 10, 15, 20-yard gain that way. Be interested to know, do you guys have anybody else in mind? Who would you like to bring in? I've heard a name like Will Fuller. I'm not for Will Fuller. The guy's hurt all the time, and he's a one-trick pony. If you're not throwing 60, 70 yards down the field, I don't know how much Will Fuller is going to help you, and he's definitely not going to help you if he can't stay on the field and he's not healthy. So I'm probably out on him. But would love to hear your comments, would love to hear suggestions, would love to do a follow-up. We're going to do a live stream this week, and we'd love to kind of pop some of those things in and some of those suggestions as we go along the week and we see how they do, and they progress. I think this week's a big week. I think it'll be a telltale sign if we're going to actually go that route or not. I expect by middle of the end of the week to probably hear a little bit of chatter stirring up. So question of the day, would you not bring in a veteran wide receiver? And if so, who? Do you agree with anybody? Do you disagree with anything I said? Until next time, guys, thank you so much. And remember to go ahead and subscribe, join the No Horsing Around family. Thank you so much for all of the support.